I'm here. I've been here for a few minutes.
Oh,
Didn't
well,
want to,
goodness, Patricia. Jump in.
didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, no, no, no. We're interrupting you. I didn't realize you were here. So please jump
Okay.
in.
Okay, let's rock and roll. We're talking about email. This is session 1, 2, 3, 4 of 6 in a continuing session on how to build a rock solid platform by serving your audience. There are lots of different ways to build an audience. One is through marketing, which takes a lot of money. Ads, which take a lot of money. One is through podcasts, interviews, radio interviews, writing devotions. All of those are sound and wise. They also take time, skill level that you may or may not have, contacts that you may or may not have. But live service, we always have people that we can access in our daily life, at church, at work, in the community, plus online in our social media platforms. I am familiar with using Facebook Live. When that first came out, that was the #1 way to, that was the only platform initially that offered a live service, but that's a normal thing now. And some, I think, like TikTok and Instagram, they're very heavy on video. So let's talk today about, well, in this session, about email and how it works. We want to have an email list. We want to have, you typically will have a master list, and we'll have smaller lists based upon, we might have one list that we only have one lead magnet. We only sell one thing. We only need one email list. And all an email list is a gathering online and an email platform provider, rather, an email provider such as Aweber, Constant Contact, MailChimp, many other choices are available. They store our email list, and our email list is compiled of the people who have signed up for something on our social media, on our website, through a radio interview, any number of different ways they can come, but we cannot send our readers an individual email from our computer. We must have a third-party tool that allows that to happen. So we get an email provider. That's the marketing term for it, an email provider. They store the names and the first names, all you need, the name and the email address of everyone who has signed up for whatever it is that we're offering. We may have more than one list. That may be too advanced for us today. We'll see about that. It sure would help me if I could see myself. Well, I'll just take this. I'll take the whole class. Okay, Alicia, Sally. Hey, Sally, it's good to see you again. Ellen, Debbie, Sandy, Bethany, Patricia, Toya, Robin, Linda, Teresa, it's good to see you again. Lynn, excuse me just a second. I have an admin. Lynn, you asked to join my private Facebook group, and there are some questions in that Facebook group to answer first before that process can continue, if you take care of that afterwards. Let's see, we've also got Yun and Catherine. And if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Please forgive me ahead of time. I'm a Southern girl doing the best I can with what I've got, the skills I have. Okay, so an email provider stores the names and email addresses of everyone who signs up for any of our call to actions. They also allow us them holding that and storing and housing that allows us to create one email and choose which group of people, whether it's a subsection or our entire list of people who we want to receive that specific email. This saves loads of time, and your email provider, your own email system within your laptop or computer or whatever you have that you're working with, they won't allow you to send multiple. I had somebody one time said, well, I'm just going to send these to my readers one by one. Oh, no. There's all kinds of reasons not to do that. I won't even elaborate because of time, but just trust me, that's not the way you want to go. So you want an email provider. Every single email provider that I'm aware of, and there's lots out there, Billy Bob's all the way to, the top of the line, they offer a free account to start with. And your account is based upon how many names you have on that list. Each email provider has their own threshold. So tier 1 is from free to is from 0 names to, we're randomly choosing here, I'm not referencing any specific email provider, from 0 names or 1 name to 500 names. And the very minute that you click over to and you have 501 names on your email list for the account, the entire account, not just that specific list. If you have more than one list, it's your cumulative account. Once you have 501 names and email addresses, now you've just moved, without even perhaps even realizing it, you've moved to level 2, tier 2. Now you're going to pay a little bit of money, and it's every month. After that, the next tier, next threshold is either 1,000 or 2,000 names based on the provider and their contract stipulations. So having an email list can be free, but please do your research. If you're new to email and you're not sure, put the widget in the hole. What am I supposed to do? Stand on my head and whisper? No, I can't understand that. It's very important to know what kind of customer service the email provider has. This is critically important because it can be a barrier to your progress. So there are some that are great. I particularly like Aweber. That's A-W-E-B as in boy, E-R. I'm going to put that in the chat. I say we already suggest. Thanks very much, Kim. Excuse me, Lynn. Aweber, I like them a lot. There's also MailChimp. I think that's what Marlene uses. There's Constant Contact. So as you're doing your research, don't call them and ask them if they have good service. Look and get responses from people online, you know, so you can get people that you know that are in the other groups with you, see what they like. Here's the reason why I like Aweber so much. I'm pretty savvy on Aweber. I've used them for a long time, and I went to Active Campaign. That's another one. That one's a little bit like a puzzle. If you don't like puzzles, you're not going to like Active Campaign. Can I get a witness, Linda Goldfarb? Yes. Aweber is much more streamlined. It's pretty simple. They're becoming more advanced through the years. I've been on them, had an account with them for over 10 years, maybe 15, 20 years. But what I love about them is that I'm pretty smart. I'm not smart as one in the book, but I'm pretty smart. And if I can't figure it out, I want to be able to pick up the phone and talk to a human being and say, Myrtle, what in the world am I doing wrong? And Myrtle will go into my account while I'm on the telephone. If I'm using Aweber, there may be other email providers that do this. If there are, please let me know. Hey, Iris, there may be people that you use, you like, and they do that. Most of the time, here's the process. If you don't have good customer service that you can use a phone call and talk to a human being and make sure that you understand what they're saying, then there's a never ending, and this is normal for any customer service, but particularly exasperating for email. There's a never ending email back and forth. You'll send in an email describing your problem, and 100 times out of 100 times, you'll get a templated answer that typically has absolutely nothing to do with the question that you just asked. You ask a specific question and they send you back something that has nothing to do with it. Then you have to respond, and it's back and forth and back and forth. And I'm not the most important person in the world, but I have things to do. So I like to pick up the phone at Aweber, and there may be others, and say, Mary, this is Patricia Durgin. Here's my account. I've done something mysterious and I'm not sure how to fix it. I did a boo-boo earlier, I don't know, months ago, and it came to roost today. Linda Goldfarb signed up for something and the wrong list was connected interchangeably and behind the scenes in the coding in my website. And she got an email she wasn't supposed to get. There wasn't anything bad in it, but she just was not supposed to get that. So I fixed it, no problem, wasn't any problem. It took a little bit of minutes. I wanted to confirm that everything was rocking and rolling. These things happen. This is normal. You know, we talked earlier just a minute ago about tech. Tech can be the bane of your existence. So I really encourage you to pray and ask Christ. If you don't have a natural affinity for it, ask him to give you a clear understanding and help you find service providers, whatever that means, email providers or anybody else, who will clearly and succinctly answer your direct questions. And believe me, if you have a litany of those people, if you have a roster, resource roster of people like that and companies like that, that is a direct gift from the hand of God. Okay. All right. Let's see. See if we have anybody else join us that I haven't acknowledged. I think I've covered everybody. Patty's here, so we can start. Okay, here we go. Let me move this over here. Get this out of the way. And we're rocking and rolling. Excuse me. This is session number 4, how email works. Email is our most powerful tool. It's the only marketing tool that allows us to send an email message directly to our readers as a whole. It is the unsung hero of marketing. Very few people who have been in Christian writers and speakers particularly, but it's any human being, any business, any ministry, until we grasp the value of email, we are missing the boat in a big, big way. Today, it doesn't really matter, perhaps, or tomorrow or next week or next year, but there's going to come a day where you've been online and you've been serving people for months or years, and somebody's going to ask you, I guarantee you, an agent or a publisher is going to ask you, how many people are on your email list? And let's make a point. Let's stop and make a point right here. This is important. We have social media followers, and that's wonderful. And professionals in the publishing field want big numbers, okay? But let me tell you, this is not my opinion, this is an actual fact. I can't cite this resource right now. Linda, y'all, this is just one of the reasons I respect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Linda. Our connection to our email list is stronger than any other connection we will ever have to social media. So I had a conversation with a potential client years ago, like 12 or 15 years ago. And I asked her, just gave a baseline, how many followers do you have? What are you doing already currently to market? And so on, so on, so on, so on. We talked. She was very pleasant. She said she had over 10,000 Twitter followers, which is really impressive. And then I asked her how many of those people were on her email list. Well, she says, I don't see any reason to have an email list, so I don't have one, and I don't plan on having one. Okay. That told me a whole lot about my inability to work with her, because a social media follower means that sometime between the time you began that social media account and the day that you're looking at that number, that final tally, this person, this individual name, stumbled upon your social media, liked something that you wrote, liked something that you shared, liked a clown video, a cat video, doesn't make any difference. They liked something at some point. That does not mean that they are your follower. That does not mean that even if they click the follower, that does not mean that they're interested in your message. That does not, well, we hope it does, but there are people that are in that group that would be tagged that way by that social media platform, but they're not tethered to us. They're not tethered to our message. They may not be in our ideal God-given target market. They just, they saw something they liked. Oh, there's a rainbow. Click. Oh, isn't that beautiful? And they left it. We'll never see them again. So social media followers and numbers on social media are very important, but they're not as indicative of the strength of your connection to your audience as an email list is. An email list that is active. 200 people on your email list who are engaging with you, you're serving them regularly, you're developing a relationship with them. That is much more valuable than 1,000 people on social media that are following you or connected with you in some way. Bethany says a platform can shut an account down at any point. Okay, this is another great point. I don't mention it very often, but this is true. We've seen it happen, and we've seen more scares or threats about it than it actually happening. I have, but it's still a point. That's their party. Facebook is their party. They get to make the rules. They decide who gets to play. They get to decide how often that sandbox is open, and on and on and on. And if Facebook bellies up one day, we won't have any connection to any of those people. Or if they decide that they don't want Christians to be able to post or have any reach, we have no connection to those people anymore. We want to have our own connection to them one-on-one, and we do that through email. Okay, let's move on. This is a really important point. That's why I spent so much time on it. Okay, we did that. So we're talking about email here. The first session, we talked about your audience and your content. And then we talked about your website, lead magnets. Now we're on email. And then there's something else. I still can't remember what it is. I just looked it up. I can't remember, but I'm sure it's very valuable. And then the last session, number 6 tomorrow afternoon, is about a Facebook Live program. All right. So this is the mechanism. This is the process. No matter who your email provider is, this is the sequence of steps that occur in order for someone to sign up for your email, sign up for your lead magnet, and go all the way through the steps. They're not even aware that these things are happening. This is all automatic. It's behind the scenes. They don't know what's going on, and they don't need to know. So the very first step is that you have an email, an opt-in box. Sometimes it's called a opt-in box, or I know the name. I say it all the time. I can't remember. We're going to call it only an opt-in box. And it is often in a pop-up. You'll see that call to action on somebody's homepage, on their social media. And someone asked me to show a social media, adding your lead magnets to your social media, Facebook. And that's so many steps. It's going to take so much time. I'm going to have to waylay that. If you'd like to join my Facebook group, I'll make that a training session sometime in the future, because I'm glad to show you. I have to keep on focus. So if you'll do that for me, I'd appreciate it. All right. So someone signs in. Mary Smith signs in into your opt-in box. Whatever you're offering, she wants that lead. We're pretending like it's a lead magnet. That also could be a buy now button. That could be a wait list for their leading people to your wait list. Any number of different actions can be behind that. But Mary Smith signs up. So that's what she does. She signs up. Then your email provider sends what's called a confirmation email. Now this is not a college level class on email behind the scenes, but I want you to get a feel for it. A confirmation email is sent automatically by your email provider. Some excuse me, my throat's a little bit dry. Some email providers don't require this. Most do, and that's called a double opt-in. So Mary signed up here by taking that action. She said, she raised her hand digitally, and she said, I want this. And your email provider will send automatically, without you doing anything about it, they'll send a second, are you sure you want this? And Mary says yes. So Mary confirms. You've all gone through this process thousands of times. Then Mary's email address is added to your email list. And again, that's simply a list of names and email addresses of people who have signed up, raised their hand digitally, and signed up for that lead magnet, or to purchase that book, or to enroll in that program. Okay. So what happens next? The email provider, and this is you're the burgundy. The email provider sends the promised link or content. I've got an example of this for you in a few minutes. So you and I create content, and they store our content the same way that they store our email list. We decide not only what to send, we decide when to send it. That's probably beyond the scope of this session. I have a simple example for you. Anything more complicated, if we have time, I'm glad to cover it, but it may be beyond our time frame. Okay. You want to consistently serve them every week or every other week. And every time you serve them, you want to serve them. Then periodically ask them to purchase or enroll or share or something. Okay. This is another hot button. We want to become a trusted resource to our audience. We want to earn their trust. We can't assume anything. Linda says, many of our friends on Facebook are people who would not purchase our book or become one of our readers. So true. So that, again, another confirmation of what I mentioned earlier. We want to serve them. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody say, well, I don't want to be one of those people that just sends emails every 30 minutes. Okay, well, here's the solution for that. Don't do that. See how easy that was? Don't send an email every 30 minutes. Boom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That problem is solved. Let's move on to the next problem. We determine what we're going to say, and we determine when we're going to send that email or that email sequence. So in some ways, less is more, but sometimes we get so far into, if somebody hasn't heard from you for 3 months, they don't remember you, baby. If you met somebody on the street, in church, at work, in the community, and you had a great initial conversation, Holy Spirit inspired or not, and then neither one of you ever contacted the other one, and there was no further discussion, and then one day they pop up like, hey, how are you doing? Like, whoa, whoa, who are you? We forget. We have 5 million people trying to attract our attention every day, plus our own duties and people that we love and we're responsible for, the obligations and the responsibilities that we have on a regular basis. So what we want to do is we want to maintain contact, but we are not badgering them. If you want to contact your audience once a week, at the same day, at the same time, so you're in a sequence, they can count on that being there in their inbox. We don't want to send something on Monday at 6 a.m. and then the next Friday at 10 p.m. There are in a sales sequence, which is an isolated incident, that may be necessary, but not on a normal basis. We want to serve them. And where do we get that information from? The same place we get all of our information. Tell me about your message, not me as your reader. Pull something from your message. What's an insight that you learned, that the Holy Spirit, Christ himself, God Almighty whispered to you in the dark of the night? What's a story about, I just blew it again. He has gone over this lesson with me over and over. Has that happened to you? We elaborate, we share a story. And then we ask, has that ever happened to you? Or has that happened to you? Or when was the last time that happened to you too? Because we're having a two-way conversation, but right now we're the only voice we can hear. Okay. What we want to do is we want to become so faithful in our service to them. And we're talking about short messages here. Okay. No ebooks. No ebooks. If they print out your email, it should not take 3 pages to print it out. That's too much. There may be isolated incidences, but they are rare. And that's why they're rare. They're very, very abnormal. Okay. Short, practical, helpful, solution-based, story-driven, audience-focused, all those good words. That's what we want. Teresa asks, so the goal is to engage and serve by providing information? Yes, yes, yes. That is this class in a nutshell. The goal is to engage and serve by providing information from your message that they want. And how do we know what they want? Because Christ has gifted us with a group of people who have who are currently in the same or a similar situation, whether it's really, really positive and they're moving toward a goal, or it's very, very negative and they've just had a tragedy sometime recent or in their way long ago. But we know them because he has delivered us from that same or a similar situation. So that's why, pardon me, that's how we know them. So pull information from your memory, and he's consistently bringing new people to us wherever we go, not in every single time we step out the door, but it's a normal part of our life to be living and standing at the grocery store, looking at the butter aisle, and the Holy Spirit prompts somebody next to us to say something. And he prompts us to respond. And the next thing you know, you're standing in the grocery store talking about Jesus. or talking about their problem and how he helped you with that problem, or any number of different things that when they walk away, their load is lighter than it was when they began talking to you. This is what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for. We're not teaching people and we're not preaching to people. We are serving people. And the heart difference is the key difference. Shirley asks, could we develop and send a monthly newsletter as part of this, or is it better to send short emails more often instead? Thank you, Linda Goldfarb. So I'm a little bit, I'm not a big fan of newsletters, and let me tell you why. They're not wrong, but let me tell you why I don't care for newsletters myself personally, and I don't suggest to my clients and people in my Facebook group that they develop newsletters. Here's the big problem I have with them. They talk about us. Well, this is the event I'm fixing to have. This is the event I just came from. Did you know this happened to me? Well, my book is fixing to be launched. Well, what about me? A newsletter. Somebody's got their microphone on. If you would mind, check if your microphone icon is not red and has a red slash through it. Would you mute yourself, please? That would help me. So we don't want to talk about ourselves. Now, we do earn the right to talk about ourselves, but we're a small part of the picture, particularly in email, because again, on social media, if we go live, which we don't always go live every time we get on social media, but in that platform, we, they see visual, even though we don't have that third level of being in the same room and feeling the feelings and sensing what the Spirit's telling us. But in email, you got nothing. You got nothing but words. You got to make them count. We want to serve them. Serve, and occasionally invite them to take an action that will benefit you. This is called marketing, Christ's way. We see in a lot of different examples through our life about people who just punch. Okay, but we don't have to be like those people. And what's the difference? We just don't do that. We choose a different way. Let's see. So newsletters are not bad, but I'm not a fan of them because I've never seen one that wasn't about the company or the individual who was sending it. Not only like the majority, but typically the entire post or email is about them. Okay. Emails, you can use them either way. It's just the typical newsletter is about the other person. They can always change their approach and put positive information in there about their reader. Typically, we just don't. Is it better to send short emails more often? Yes. We don't want to send too often unless we're in a sales cycle, and we're not talking about that in this conversation. Then we want to send regularly every week or every other week. Once a month is too much space between emails. I'm sorry to tell you that. That doesn't mean you can't do it. And if the Holy Spirit tells you to do it exactly the way He says to do it. Otherwise, we are wise to follow the norm with our unique message. Our message is what stands us out. Okay, let's go back to the screens. Ava, could you tell me audibly what time I thought I made a note of that. I'd like to know again what our time frame is, please.
Okay, our time today ends at, let me just double check it. I believe it's 5:15.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thanks very much. That's what I thought, but it was good to confirm. All right, so this is a simple, somebody signed up for your email list. This is if you, okay, this is if someone signs up for anything that you use this process and opt-in box for. You can use that on your website. You can put it on your social media. And this is the process. We just looked at that. If you have something called an autoresponder series, and I'm going to explain that to you and I'm going to show it to you. So don't let your mind explode, okay? There's an additional step. All right. If you have, we're going to look at this twice. If you have an autoresponder series created and activated, then this is the sequence. Mary Smith signs up for your lead magnet, your wait list, whatever it is. She signs up. She gets a double opt-in. She gets a confirmation email. Lord willing, she confirms. Her email address is added to your email list. You send her the promised link or content. The autoresponder series begins. You continue with, this is the only additional step from the prior screen. So let's talk about that you serve them regularly, and then you occasionally have earned the right and their trust that you can invite them to take an action that will benefit you. All right, so what in the world is an autoresponder series? Okay, it's complicated and we don't have anything else like it in our life. One of the challenges that anybody has, going from not really being online and using online tools to serve, is that there's nothing else like most of the stuff online. We know how to create a grocery list, so we would use that same process to create a packing list or to create a list for new moms. We understand the processes. These are part of our everyday life. But when we go online for the first time and we're trying to minister to people, even if we're trying to sell, a red tricycle, there's nothing like what we're referencing. We have to not only learn a new language, we have to learn a new process for every different tool. But here's the thing. Jesus will help you do it, baby. He's in your corner. There's nothing that you need to know how to do that he can't teach you. He may teach that to you directly in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. when you're praying your guts out, and he'll help you get that accomplished. He may do that by connecting you with a Facebook group or a paid consultant or your best friend or your second cousin twice removed. Do not let barriers keep you from moving forward unless he has placed the barrier himself. So anything that the enemy's got to say is straight from the pit of hell. You don't even have to listen to that. Kick that right out the door, shut the door, lock the door, and kick him in the teeth as you go out the door to serve Jesus. Okay. If you have an issue and you have, stuff that's keeping you from moving forward, then ask him to, and I know you're already doing this because you want to serve, you want to make a difference. So ask him to help you untangle that mess or unwind that ball of thread or whatever the phrase may be. And we'll make one more note before we return to the main event. There are times when we ask and he is not forthcoming. So what in the world's that got to do? Does that mean that you got the first 27 steps or the first 27 years wrong? No. Move along and do something else that you're able to do with his help, whatever that means. And when he's ready, there will come a day you'll wake up and you'll go and try that very thing that pestered the life out of you, and you'll be able to successfully do it. Okay. So you don't have to do everything by yourself. He is working not only through you, he is working for you. Okay, let's move on. Let me see where we are. Okay. Oh yes, the dreaded autoresponder. Let me see where I want to say that. Here. Oh, wait a minute. Let me dig. Let me dig for my autoresponder. There we go. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Every email provider, which is a company that stores and hosts your email list, singular or plural, they offer the difference in that they offer the choices, some many choices, some only two. An autoresponder series or a regular broadcast. So let's walk through this. A regular broadcast is just what it sounds like. Both of them are sent from your email provider. You create the content. It's stored in your account, your email provider account, and then you schedule it based upon your wishes, the schedule you're trying to meet. If it's your every week email, you can create that months in advance and just schedule it. You never have to look at that email again, theoretically. Okay. If it's something for a sales sequence, which again, we're not covering, then you do those ahead of time, but those would be instances where you would send multiple emails in a week. But those are rare occasions. Okay. If it's a broadcast, that just means that it's going to go out. It's published one time, just one time. It's time sensitive. It's published at a set date in the future. That might be 5 minutes from now. It might be 6 years from now, according to how far in the future you can plan your emails. Your email provider will allow that to happen. Okay. It's any number of different things. Those are time sensitive. So far, that's pretty easy. Here's where it gets tricky. The autoresponder series is action sensitive. It's triggered by an action. An email is created by you ahead of time, and it's published based upon a reader taking an action. For example, when Mary signs up. If you have an autoresponder series, which would be right here, then it could be any number of different things. All that means is that you have specific information you want to send to Mary in a sequential step, not a big ebook, just a little bit here and a little bit there, maybe every 30 minutes, which is highly unusual, highly unlikely, or every 3 days or once a week. It can be an autoresponder, can be oh my goodness, maybe 18 years ago, 20 years ago, I followed somebody and I signed up for his emails. And he had created an autoresponder series that lasted 52 weeks. Every week, like clockwork, I got an email from him on that particular topic. It never varied. The delivery time and day never varied. And at the end of that year-long sequence, that would be an autoresponder. You can also have one that only has 2 emails in it, or 14 emails in it, any number of different things. And you use them for things that you want to always say to people, particularly new members, new readers. You want to always say that. You want them to always get those first messages. I'm going to show you an example in a moment. And you don't want to have to create them every single time somebody signs up. What if you don't have one and somebody signs up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're going to jump out of bed in your jammies and go and create an email? That's going to make you crazy in the head. Okay, so an autoresponder series, you create it ahead of time, you schedule it, and then it will automatically release based upon the action that they took. And if they don't take that action, they'll never see that set of emails. Okay, now a broadcast, going back to that, that's one time, and you can deliver it, but really that's not really how it works. You have something to say and you send it out, and that email never goes out again. It can, but it's not necessary. That's not the way it's designed to work. Okay. Now, this is maybe too big to wrap your mind around, because again, you're plenty smart enough to understand it. But again, it may be new language to you and a new concept. So when you find your email provider, just ask them, I need some training on your autoresponder series and the difference between that and a regular broadcast. And if they use a different term for that service, they'll understand exactly what you're talking about. And they'll say, well, that's Billy Bob and Susie Q. And then they'll send you to that training. And most every email provider these days has video trainings, which are so helpful. Okay. So the burden is on you to learn it, but it is learnable. Because why? Because you can do everything that Jesus calls you to do. All right, let's move on. So in a 3-part welcome series, this would be delivered. This is an example. This would be delivered via an autoresponder series. Otherwise, if it's a broadcast, which is one of those things that's emailed one time to the entire group and not to an individual, and it goes out at a set time. And then what if they sign up and they don't fall in that window? Well, this is a good example of an autoresponder series. As soon as they sign up, you want to already have these 3 emails in the queue in an autoresponder series. This is particularly series is called a 3-part welcome email series. So as soon as Mary Smith signs up, then we want to release a thank you email. We want to thank them for joining or enrolling or purchasing, whatever action we invited them to take, they took it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be knocking on your door digitally. Thank them for taking that action and let them know how often they're going to hear from you, and that helps set their expectations. This is very, very, very important. Do not try to sell Mary something in your welcome series. Use your welcome series to begin the relationship with Mary. And remember, we're talking about this as some of the ongoing responsibilities that we have. You're not going to have to deal with this every single day or every single week, particularly an autoresponder series. You're going to create it. It's going to be stored in your email provider, and it's just going to roll out. You're going to be sleeping and eating and taking a shower and going to church and getting your groceries, and it's just going to keep right on running. Okay. You can change it if you want to, but if you don't change it, it will just keep on going. The second email in your three-part welcome email series is you want to send it 1 to 3 days after email number 1. Have you signed up for something and within the first 15 minutes, you got like 7 or 8 emails? You're like, no, we're back checking. I'm out, baby, I'm out. Okay. We don't have to harass people. 1 to 3 days after email number 1 is sent, send another one. And this is the goal. This is not the title. The goal is to help them understand what they can expect from you. So I've given you some information. This is option number 1 right here in this box. And on the example that I'm going to show you, I've given you another direction approach that you might enjoy. So share links to your best website content or your best Facebook Live programs, anything like that, blog posts, anything like that. And then explain to them simply and quickly what that's about and how it's going to help them reach their goals or solve their problem, or it's the answer to their question, so forth. And then let them know how often they're going to receive your email. Every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern, or every other Saturday at 4 p.m. Central, whatever your schedule is. That way they're not surprised when they see you and an email from you in their inbox. Okay. Now this is the overview. I'm going to show you an example in just a second. The last of the 3-part welcome email series is 1 to 3 days after email number 2. This is our opportunity to prove that we're more interested in them and having a relationship with them than a quick sale. Because remember, we're not trying to sell anything. Don't send them a link to your latest book. Don't ask them for money. And don't even, if you can, stand yourself. Don't ask them to do anything for you. Like me on Facebook. Don't ask them that. You might not be able to help yourself. But if you can, withstand that. Hold yourself back and serve them. This is so important. Serve them, serve them, serve them. Share an insight or a funny story from your life, the day God turned the tide for you, any number of different things with 1 or 2 short paragraphs. The goal is to help them understand that you know them, you see them, you have felt their pain, or you've asked their question, or you've overcome that challenge that they're facing. And you don't say that with words like that. You share a story, and that helps them understand that. Thank them and give them, remind them that when your regular emails are going to be published and you're rocking and rolling. Now we only have a little bit more information and we've got a half an hour. So I'm watching the clock, but I need some kind of, I want to give you 5 minutes to ask questions if you have any. So if there's something keeping, burning, you're like, if she would have only explained X, I could understand all this other stuff. Well, what is X? Tell me what it is. I'll wait for 15 seconds. Okay. All right. We're moving on. I'll come back for questions in a little while. Boom, boom, boom. Right now, this is all new and you're probably just like, you feel your head sort of going like this, but you don't have to learn all this today. You can have this for reference. You can research online. You can contact your, your email provider, and you can just say, hey, I don't even understand this. I need somebody to go over this again, and play the pitiful I need help card anytime you need to. Okay. Don't try to one up them. Let them help you. I'm not saying anybody here is like that. Well, I'm just tossing that out as a possibility. Okay. What might these look like? If I created this, what would my email look like? Okay. Here's an example. Mary Smith, we're still in our scenario. Mary Smith signed up for my lead magnet content checklist. This is a lead magnet telling people how to write a lead magnet. I love that. We want to send this. We want to send immediately. This is the first step in this 3-part welcome series. I'm supposed to send them whatever was promised to them. So I'm doing that in this first email. This is what they signed up that for. This is your reference only. So the title of these are all, marketing is experimentation and is driven by personality if you want it to be. No reason for it to be cold and calculated. Be yourself. If you speak like a country girl, write like a country girl. If you're a college professor and very highly educated and you wouldn't consider using an improper noun grammar, then don't. Your people want to know you and you want them to know you. So for me, this is the way that I would do it. The title of it would be free content, and then I would put you requested, because there's a whole bunch of schmarmy people who write free content, you know, $1 million waiting for you. If we're not careful and very, very clear, people who are busy, because there's so much data shooting at us constantly, unless we're asleep, that they'll glance at it and ignore it because they didn't understand. You requested free content that you requested. Hey, and then add their first name. Now, where in the world do you get that? There's code in your email provider when they set that up, that when a new reader enters their name, then it's already filled in, and they take care of that. You never have to worry about that. So this is what I would write. Hi, Sally. So glad you're here. To access your lead magnet content checklist, which is a mouthful, open this link, and then I'd post the link right there. It would be an active link. You'll find content ideas along with various design elements to include in your next lead magnet, plus a little teaser here, a little hook, a little intrigue, plus the #1 marketing message so many of us forget. This one's a game changer, Mary. My grammar's a little bit incorrect here. Enjoy. I'll follow up with you in a few days to answer your questions. So what am I telling her? #1, I want her to know that I'm friendly. I want her to deliver what I promised she would receive if she signed up. I'm telling her right up front, you're going to hear from me again. But it's only going to be in a few days. Don't worry. I'm not going to come live at your house. I'm assuming she's going to have questions. And if she wants to have them and she wants to send them to me, I'm glad to answer them, because I want this to become, it's not initially, but I want this to become a two-way conversation to the degree that I'm helping Mary and she chooses to respond to that help. So that's simple, simple, simple. You can do that, or your version of that. Just deliver what you promise. Thank them for showing up. Thank them for signing up. And, be yourself. Be yourself. Preaching here for just a second. Be yourself. So your audience, your God-given audience, those people you are uniquely designed to serve, so they can find you, baby. Don't be somebody else. Be yourself. And then they can find you. I go off on tangents sometimes, and my readers love that or they don't love that. And that's part of what what determines whether they stick around. I don't know how to be anybody else. It's taken me, I won't tell you how many decades to get to be who I am. I can't even stand the thought of starting over. Heavens above. Heavens above. All right. My second email, what I'm supposed to do, explain what they can expect. Explain to Mary what she can expect. And I'm going to send this to her sometime between 1 day after my first email, 2 or 3 days after my first email. Not a month late or too late, baby. Too late. All right. The second email, mine might say, here's what you can expect. Short, sweet, and to the point. Okay. Now this content right here does not reflect this. I'm showing you a different approach. Both are valid approaches. Okay. Hi, Mary. Did you get a chance to check out the free resource you requested? So here's the thing. Not that I sent you, that you requested. I'm reminding her, oh, what was that I looked at anyway? I'm reminding her that she requested this information. And I'm assuming that she hasn't seen it. Because why? Because Mary is busy. If not, here's that link again for your easy reference. And then I give her the link again. And I tell her what it is. Lead magnet content checklist. That's a tongue tire. So open this link and download it, because let me tell you this, and you know this already, different people have different online skills. don't assume that everybody that signs up for your anything to do with you understands by default what it does, how to make that work or click that button or how they get that. What? And they're, punching their desktop. Go out of your way to kindly and graciously, patiently explain as if they're in a third grade, not because they are, but they're busy. And I see too many instances, thousands through the years, where somebody assumes that I, as a reader, know exactly what they're talking about. And that can be on promotions on social media. People don't put an active link. They don't put the day or the time. I mean, there's all kinds of missing information, and they want me to take an action that will benefit them, but they don't give me the tools to take that action. I'm out. I'm not going to go look up your event. I'm not going to go and do that. That burden is on you as the one with the information. Okay. So give her information. Open this link, and there's the link. Not here, but in your example, and download it. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Oh, okay. Mary might be very savvy 78-year-old, or she might be somebody who's 23 and a half, and she's never been online before, which I find highly unlikely. But be very patient and gracious when you communicate, okay? Lead magnets. Now, what's this all about? Well, this is about lead magnets to create them. So let's talk about that. She signed up for information about a lead magnet. So let's talk about lead magnets. We've done the welcome. Quick. Now we're going to talk about lead magnets. Well, remind me what they're all about. Mary says, why did I sign up for this again? Lead magnets help Christian writers and speakers, and that's my audience. You would put your audience there. Lead magnets would be whatever your lead magnet is about. Potty training your toddler helps busy moms. You wouldn't say, that's not grammatically correct, but the title of your potty training, answer one question, solve one problem, help busy moms like you and stay out of the bathroom. Whatever you want to say. Okay. Serve their current audience and reach new audience members. That's important to my audience. What's important to your audience? This is called marketing, and it's simple once you know how to do it. That's where I come in. Every other Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, another great marketing tip. I don't like the word tip, but that's what I'm using right here. Plan or resource will land in your inbox. It'll be short, sweet, and oh so helpful. Tomorrow I'll share, let's see, this is duplicate here. Tomorrow I'll share a story. Okay. I can't type when I'm online. I'll share help me Jesus, a story, blah, 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 blah. Moving on. My mind isn't working there. God's message in me for free helped me grow my business, and it all started with a lead magnet. So I'm wrapping it all up. Okay. This is making her hopefully more interested in a lead magnet. And I just sent her a free information on how to create a lead magnet. I'm not trying to trick her. I'm trying to be a resource. I'm trying to serve her, and I welcome her questions anytime she has one. All right. The third step is the number 3, and that's 1 to 3 days after number 2. And the goal is to connect with Mary, connect with her, not to preach to her, not to speak at her, not to assume anything. Here's my example for that. I ran out of room. Here's exactly what I showed you just a second ago. So I'm going to move that up out of the way. You may not write this way, but this is how I write. I communicate directly, not harshly, but just directly. I know you. I use that for my lead magnet, the first email, for years. And I can't tell you, I had a lot of people email me back and they said, I just couldn't believe you said, I'm just being myself. I'm not trying to make a point or, be an example. I'm just being Patricia. And that was the headline for that particular lead magnet. And I had multiple people through the years contact me and say, I just opened it anyway because I didn't know if you really knew me. And you know what? You did. It's because I know my audience and you know yours. You don't have to communicate the way that I do. You're gifted in your own communication style. There are other people. I'm going to show you the content in just a second. And when I do, there are other people who read that and they immediately bounce. And when somebody goes to your website and bounces, or they sign up for your email and they bounce, that means they left and they'll never going to return, or in that next window, they're not solid connection at all. They didn't like something. You weren't clear. They didn't like the color of your blouse you had on. There's so many possibilities. They didn't like the message, but I'm a strong communicator, even in whether I'm speaking in person or online or in writing. So I'm just reflecting my personality. There's nothing special about it, except for the part that makes me unique. Yes, I know you is the title. Hi, Mary. Does this sound like you? This is my first line in the content. Does this sound like you? Years ago, before I joined Facebook, I longed to serve more people. I've got too many dashes here. Those beyond my family and friends. But how? Christ had moved us to an isolated hamlet and we hadn't developed new friends yet. I wasn't on social media, and Patty Sheen, shout out, and I saw no reason to be. I wondered if God was disappointed in me. Have you felt that way too, Mary? Now, if Mary doesn't feel that way, I'd use another approach. Christ opened my mind to social media and encouraged me to begin a Facebook Live program. For over 2 years, I served my audience for free every weekday, producing over 500 60-minute interviews with Christian writers and speakers. My audience grew from 0 to over 1,000 people. That same thing, here's your promise, that same thing can happen to you. I'll tell you more next Thursday when my regular weekly email arrives. Watch for it. Until then, Patricia. Okay. Are there any questions about this? Do you have an idea what I've done or how you might do it? Because now is the time to get into this. Lead magnet. Let's see. Let's see. Linda asked, do we format our email unique to our brand? I would. I definitely would. Now, you may not have a brand yet, or you may be in the middle of changing your brand. That's all okay. If you have a logo and you have a ministry name, then definitely include that. Definitely. My focus today was on content, but you definitely want to do that. And if you can't figure it out, contact your email provider. That's what they're there for, to serve you and help you reach your goals. Teresa says, lead magnet posted on Facebook, content email. I'm sorry, Teresa. I don't speak Teresa fluently yet. So can you elaborate on that? And I'll be glad to answer your question. If you have anybody else have a question you want to type into the chat room. Thank you, Linda. Okay, everybody. So everybody knows exactly what to do. But this wasn't supposed to help you understand exactly what to do. This was, all of these sessions in my continuous session are to give you an overview, to take the mystery out of this big bugaboo so that you can understand and sort of get a handle on understanding what the process is. You can automatically see, raise your hand, you can automatically see where you might get stuck in this process. All of that, this is complex, but you can do it, because here's the thing. Once you learn it, you've learned it. You don't have to learn this anew, afresh, every time you sit down to write an email or a welcome series. Invest the time to learn. Do that well before your launch. Don't add the pressure of everything that's going on with your launch to learn how to use a new online tool. You may have to get somebody else to help you do it. Any number of different ways that can be accomplished. You write the content and ask them to carry the burden, pay them to carry the burden, whatever the case may be. But because it's your message doesn't mean you have to be the only one touching any of the content, all of the tools. You don't have to become a walking encyclopedia, but you do need to understand the process. And that's my goal, because in an hour, nobody on earth can teach you the in-depth on any of these points. But if you see them collectively, you see that, oh, I definitely need to consistently be dealing with email. I definitely need to be consistently updating my website and creating a lead magnet. Christmas is coming up. What can you do? Christmas is far away, but it's still coming up and it's closer than it was in January. What can you create for the holidays? Maybe for Thanksgiving, maybe for Christmas. Maybe there's another, I'll get to right to you in just a second. Is that my 2-minute warning? I thought I had till 5:15.
Yes, I'm just saying it's 10 minutes.
Okay, don't scare me like
10.
that. Thank you very much. Okay, what can you create? Start thinking now about what you can create for Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah, whatever you would use to celebrate then the new year. I mean, you've got plenty of time to take your time, consider what your audience wants. What are the questions? This is not what you want to tell them. This is what they want to know. Make your job easier. Talk about what they want to talk about. And then consider how you can create something free to start the ball rolling. Create your lead magnet first. That will invigorate you and inspire you to swallow the bullet and create that, develop that email provider list. Do you offer coaching? Yes. This is a trick question because Linda Goldfarb knows that I offer coaching, and so does she, and she's fabulous. Okay. Teresa Wilson, to everyone, I was asking if this is the process. First, put the lead magnet on Facebook, then create the email. Okay, so now I understand that's a perfect question, Teresa. You can do these concurrently. You can do one before the other, but you don't want to have, let me back up. You can create both of them, but you don't want to make your lead magnet available for people to sign up until you have that back-end administrative foundation set. You want to already have a email provider. You want to already have a welcome email series, and the very first email in that 3-part series delivers the promised content. Create the email and then create the lead magnet. Yeah. So the email process, the email provider, they run the show behind the scenes. They're a silent partner and they do the hard work for you. Once you understand the process, or you get with them and they help you understand the process, everybody offers training, video training now. It shouldn't be a mountain. And if it is, step away, pray, and go back to it at the time or the day that Christ and directs. He's with you all the way. He will help you understand things you never thought you could understand. And we may be highly accomplished in the real world with a career and all kinds of employees, maybe running a small business, and we get online and whoo, it's a new world. And if you are a young person, you're more savvy. Typically, young people are more savvy because that's all you've ever known. But anybody over the age of 25, we have to learn a whole new language. We have to learn all kinds of things about being online that we've never faced before in our entire life. And we have more years on us than you do. But everything can be learned. Sherry asked, after the first series of autoresponder emails, what would be would a good plan entail sending out an email every couple of weeks with a brief story or insight via broadcast? Sherry, I don't know how you know what I'm fixing to say. It's like we're twins separated at birth. Yes. Yes. The welcome email series draws them in, delivers the promised information, whatever that may be, and it sets the tone for how often they're going to hear from you. And that third one has a little bit of your story, but it directly ties into their story. And that part of their story that connects to the content of the lead magnet, okay? So I didn't talk to Mary about my coaching because that wasn't what the conversation was about. She wanted to know about how to create a lead magnet. So that's what all of those emails touched on. But then once the welcome email series is over, then I think in my sample example, I promised every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is not when I normally send my emails out, but that doesn't matter. We're just talking about an example. So I would create, and you can create your emails long ahead. You can also, they'll be broadcast though, because they'll go out one time. They won't go out to everybody. They'll go no matter when they sign up. An autoresponder series goes out automatically, no matter when somebody signs up. And everybody that signs up gets the same exact email sequence unless you change it. A broadcast is something that you send out one time. And once that time has passed, then that's not sent out again. You're only talking to your readers in a broadcast about what's happening right now or tomorrow, or you're giving resources you may pull from your prior emails. If you had a great resource, or you want to make a compilation email of various various great resources within multiple emails through a year, that'd be a great email, or that'd be an even better lead magnet. But they go out one time, and then they've seen they've had their moment to shine, and then they're gone. Yes, a brief story or an insight, and via the broadcast. You can also share, if you have a Facebook Live or you have a YouTube training, you can also share that. You can also share other people's content. Saw this fantastic resource just yesterday, knew you would love it, and then tie something about your message into that. And again, you're becoming a trusted resource. When they see your name in their inbox rather, they know they're going to get something good. It might be a chuckle. It might be a deep wisdom. It might be a story about yourself. Typically, it's not, but it might be. It may be that might be help me, Father. It might be a resource that you fell in love with, and you believe that they will too. Lots of different options. Make sure you talk up to them about them, and occasionally talk about yourself. Bethany says, I've heard about lead magnets before, but this is one of the clearest explanations. Yay! Well, yay! I'm so glad you came. Linda has a response. Thank you very much, Linda. Any other questions? We have 5 minutes and the clock is ticking. I'm glad to answer them. I get the hook at 2 minutes out. Any other questions? Consider this afternoon what kind of story you may share in that third welcome that third welcome autoresponder series. What kind of story would you share that's really, really short, like a single sentence or a couple of sentences making up a very short paragraph, and then immediately type back in, has this happened to you? Or I bet that same thing, or any number of different things. I don't like it when somebody says, have you ever been afraid? Well, come on now, we can be better. We can do a better job than that. Have I ever been afraid? 5 bazillion times in my whole life. Which one specifically are you talking about? Have you been afraid in the last week? Be specific. Work with them, talk with them. And here's what I want to leave you with. How do we reach you? Thank you very much for that prompt. I have that information. Before I forget it, let me go and get it. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Father. I'm putting it in the chat right now. I have
2 minutes, Patricia.
Thank you very much. I have a free Facebook group exclusively for Christian writers and speakers. It's called Marketers on a Mission Engage. And we speak about, we're always talking about marketing, and it's fun. And we have a community that Christ has blessed us, and we have a tight knit group, and we're always welcome to new people. My email is in the chat box as well. I do coach, I do other things. I don't sing and dance, and be so glad that I don't. What was I saying, Father? I can't remember my train of thought. Thank you, Debbie. Okay, I'm sure it was very, very wise. We'll just accept that and we'll move on. I'll tell you goodbye. And tomorrow we're going to start the day with let me share that and we'll be finished. Tomorrow we're talking about how to use email to develop these relationships, how to become their trusted resource. We only scratched the surface today with the email series. We're going to talk tomorrow about digging in long-term relationships. We don't want to start over with every single book, with every single event. We want to have an archive of people that we have served consistently through the years, and we just let them know that we have something going on and they want to support us. And what we stop with, you can do every single thing that Christ has called you to do. Every single thing. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. See you later. Bye-bye. Have a great evening.